We go to our guest, Mike Davis, the founder and president of the Article 3 Project. Of course, Mike, welcome back to the show. Breaking news, the indictment unsealed. Your thoughts on the latest information we now know?
Well, it confirms for me what I've been saying since August, which this is a political indictment by Biden to get Trump. This indictment does not even consider that the Presidential Records Act, not the Espionage Act, controls a former president's handling of his presidential records, including classified records. The former president is allowed to have his presidential records. It does not matter whether they're classified or not. That's why Congress gives former presidents the office of the former president, with secure office space, with federally funded staff, with security clearances, with Secret Service protection. This Mar-a-Lago office was the same office that President Trump used when he was the president of the United States. It is very secure. These documents never leaked for 18 months since he left office until Biden sent the unprecedented, unnecessary, and unlawful home raid to get back these damning documents from Trump, his declassified Crossfire hurricane records, which is what this raid was all about. That's what this indictment is all about, is because these documents show that Obama, Biden, Hillary, the Attorney General, the FBI director, the CIA director colluded in 2016 to make up the Russian collusion hoax and unleash the illegal Crossfire hurricane investigation on Trump, because Hillary got caught with her illegal home server as Secretary of State, with our nation's most classified secrets hacked by our foreign enemies, and she destroyed this server in the face of a congressional subpoena. So that's what Crossfire Hurricane was all about. It's also not even legally possible to obstruct justice into non-crimes generally. There is a binding 2019 legal opinion in the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel that says this. They've ignored the Presidential Records Act. They've ignored the 2019 OLC legal opinion. They've ignored a 2012 ruling from an Obama judge that former presidents are allowed to take their presidential records, and the mere act of taking them makes them personal. It doesn't matter whether they're classified, as evidenced by Clinton having 8 years of highly classified audio recordings in his sock drawer. This is a political hit on Trump, and the reason they're doing this now, today, rushed, is because Biden got caught taking $10 million, 5 to Joe, 5 to Hunter, as vice president from Burisma, and changed American policy, threatened to cut off $1 billion in American aid to Ukraine if the Ukrainian president didn't get rid of a Ukrainian prosecutor investigating Burisma and the Bidens. This stinks to high hell. This is very political. And where are the charges against Joe Biden for having 5 stashes of stolen classified records in several different locations, moved several times, hidden from the public? The FBI had found them after 2 months of a sweetheart deal between Garland and Biden, hiding these, covering this up. When Garland got caught, they sent in the FBI and they found the 5th set. How was that not obstruction? He was the vice president. He didn't have the right to these records. This is outrageous what they're doing today.
Founder and president of the Article 3 Project, Mike Davis, joining us. They're talking about willful retention of national defense information, conspiracy to obstruct justice, and false statements. Is that different than the previous way it was discussed for us non-legal eagles, talking about the possession of classified documents? A lot of the reports, and this is all brand new information, but a lot of the reports saying that he was showing military plans of attack to people at Mar-a-Lago that were not qualified to be able to see them. Is there a distinction in these indictments that you've noticed so far that's different than what was anticipated before the indictment was released?
Yeah, they know that Trump declassified these records, so they're not charging for having classified records. They're charging this Weasley thing called national defense information. And their theory is essentially that a president of the United States can declassify information and still be charged for espionage after he declassified information under this national defense information theory. It is complete garbage. First, the Espionage Act does not apply to a president or former president's handling of his presidential records. Presidential records are any document created or received by the president or his White House staff. So if the CIA sent a classified document to the president or his White House staff, that is a presidential record that the president is allowed to keep in the office of former president when he leaves office. He's allowed to keep his personal copy. He declassified these records, and that's why they're not charging him under the classification part of espionage. They're charging him under this bogus legal theory that he can declassify something and still be charged with espionage under national defense information theory. It is garbage. This will never hold up in the Supreme Court, but Garland doesn't care. Biden doesn't care if this holds up in the Supreme Court. That's going to take a long, long time to get to the Supreme Court. All Biden and Garland cares about is the next presidential election in November of 2024.
Yeah, the next 515 days of a campaign are what matters, generally speaking, in these stories. Last question before we let you go. We know you have a very busy day ahead of you. Does Donald Trump get found guilty in a Miami federal court about this issue?
Well, I'll tell you, he could because the Biden Justice Department, this corrupt National Security Division, these corrupt units of the FBI that ran the Crossfire Hurricane illegal investigation against Trump in 2016 are now covering their tracks. They had to go get back these documents. Trump had a civil lawsuit versus Hillary Clinton that these documents could have become public, and that's why we had this home raid to go get back these documents. And if it's so urgent to
Seems like we might have just lost Mike Davis. Well, that's unfortunate. We appreciate him coming on the show with us, and for something like that to break within minutes, literally, of him having a scheduled hit here, we're grateful that he still came in. We'll have him back on the show. He is the founder and president of the Article 3 Project. You can learn more about it at article3project.org. You can follow him on Twitter at MRDDMIA. Maybe he's back here. I'm just going to put him back on. Mike, sorry, I think we lost you there somehow or another.
I was saying the timing is because Biden got caught taking $10 million, 5 to Joe, 5 to Hunter, in a foreign bribe and changed American policy. That's why we're hearing about this indictment today, because we found out about this Biden corruption yesterday.
Yeah. And you said that it was going to happen last week here on this show, and we're grateful you gave us the time to come back and discuss it more. We'll have you back as soon as you are available to us. Mike Davis, thank you so much for your time today. I know that you'll have a lot of other people to talk to, so we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Of course. Founder and president of the Article 3 Project, Mike Davis there. I was saying you can follow him on Twitter at MRDDMIA, Mr. DDMIA. You can go check him out, or the Article 3